Namaste and welcome to Pramanik Astrology channel. Welcome to another live stream. Today we are going to talk about Rahu into the sign of Gemini and Ketu into the sign of Sagittarius. Around this placement, please put your questions into the comment live chat. We'll be covering all the questions. Okay, so what is the sign of Gemini? What is Rahu? Rahu is the planet where we have to strive in this lifetime. Okay, Rahu and Ketu always work in pairs. So when we have Rahu into the sign of Gemini, we have Ketu into the sign of Sagittarius. Okay, so what kind of balance or what kind of modality these two element brings in? You can refer to this as connection with the third house and ninth house as well. Okay, you can treat it as Rahu in the third house and Ketu in the ninth house, and you can apply some principles of these houses as well. But when it comes to rashis, rashis are concrete. If you look at rashis versus planet, you will see that all the planets have deities, all the nakshatras have deities, but rashis don't have any deity, because rashi are the one of the non-living consciousness of Vishnu. Okay, so but these are the concrete things. And when we talk about the Rahu and Ketu through signs, the placement of Rahu and Ketu through houses will show you the area of the house involved into it. Okay, you can have Rahu in any of the house. You can have Rahu into the any of the sign, I mean to say, but the placement of the house of the Rahu will determine where exactly you have to work on. Okay, suppose you have Rahu into the sign of Gemini into the 10th house. Okay, so you will have to focus onto the 10th house. Okay, but the manifestation of the Rahu, or the what is the exact word, manifestation, or the reason, yes, that is the right word, the reason for the Rahu and Ketu would be identified by Rashi. Okay, Rahu is into the 10th house, but with Leo it means something different, with Aries it means something different, with Sagittarius, with Libra, with every other Rashi it means something different. With the 10th house you have to focus on career, but with Libra it means more of a balancing. With Aries it is more of a headstrong and go-getter and aggressive energies. Today we are talking about the sign of Gemini. When you have Rahu into the sign of Gemini and Ketu into the sign of Sagittarius, it shows that Ketu having the sign of Sagittarius shows that in the past life you had all the Jupiterian experiences and now you have become wiser, and that's why you have got this position. You have got these rashis, you have got Rahu and Ketu into these rashis, and now you have to focus on the Gemini things. What is the Gemini thing? Gemini is all about the communication. We all know about Gemini as a communication, but more than that, it is also about the more of a the more of a Mercurian realm. It's the balance between the third house and the ninth house. Don't get confused when I'm referring it to house and we are talking about Rashi. The third house, the Rahu in the Gemini, also holds some of the qualities of Rahu into the third house or Rahu into the Gemini. Okay, so Don't confuse both of this. When you have Rahu into the sign of Gemini, you have lot of karma in this lifetime with respect to the Gemini sign. Okay, what is the sign of Sagittarius though? Sagittarius is the sign which holds the signification of, the signification of higher belief, all the Jupiterian realms like religion, spirituality, higher belief, higher studies, fortune, virtues. All these things can be seen with the sign of Sagittarius. Sagittarius is the sign which is all about chasing high ideals. And you have Ketu into the sign of Sagittarius. What it shows is you have already been through this in the past life. Okay, but it also gives you one of the unique qualities that you feel that you have some specific life purpose to your life. Okay, you feel that, and in a way it is a positive thing that you have a life purpose to your life, a goal to your life, but at the same time you discard every other idea which is not in accordance with this higher purpose which you feel is your purpose. Okay, and here is the root of the problem. Here people with the Ketu in the Sagittarius sign always feel that, the kind of purpose they have is so unique that they cannot connect with other people. And that's where the Rahu comes in this lifetime. You have to connect with people. Connection is the crux of this placement. You have Rahu into the sign of Gemini. Your karma in this life is to connect with people and associates, okay, and to follow certain rules, regulations, follow the intelligent path, and build the networking and get your purpose served. It might find weird, but yes, to achieve the, we always talk about, if you want to fix the Ketu house, go towards the Rahu house. Okay, so once we have all these optimism of the Sagittarius Ketu here, but now we have to focus on the Rahu. And once you start connecting with your friends, with your associate, with your siblings, and once you start understanding their life purpose, these people will help you to achieve your own life purpose. Okay, so yes, this was the base of it. We are going to dive deep into it. If you're watching it and if you feel you're getting value to it, please hit the like button. And if you have not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe to this channel as well. We talk about Vedic astrology on this channel. Okay, and if you are watching it in a replay, still the end. Now we are going for a quick questions, then we'll come back again. We'll talk about the nakshatras of the Rahu and Ketu in these rashis. First is Kajal Thakkar. Hello, can I share my birth details here? Kajal ji, please don't share your birth details here. You can ping me on Instagram, or you can email me. Don't email me, ping me on Instagram. That is much better. Okay. Hariharan Mohan, hi. Astrology Geek, hi. Yes, hi. Sadhukan, Rahu, Mars, Mercury in Gemini, Saturn, Ketu in Sagittarius. Okay. When you have Rahu, Mars, and Mercury into the sign of Gemini, see now the lords of the Rahu and Ketu are in action. Now you have the conjunction of Rahu, Mars, and Mercury. Mercury is the ruler of the sign of Gemini. Now the lord of the Rahu is with the Rahu and is guiding it. Okay, so this is the best placement for Rahu and Mercury. This is one of the best combination, Rahu and Mercury, because it gives you unusual intelligence. Even Ketu Mercury can give unusual intelligence, but the Rahu and Mercury is because Mercury likes to dig, Mercury likes to analyze, and Rahu is an amplifying energy. When these two energies meet, especially into the 10th house, these planets work amazing towards in connection with each other. We'll make a separate video on the conjunctions of planet into the different signs once we complete this series of Sagittarius. More than that, what is important is the ruler of the Ketu, Jupiter. Okay, for the Rahu in Gemini and Ketu in Sagittarius, we have the most important karmic controlling planets are Mercury and Jupiter. Check for the dignity of these planets. Check for the connection of these planets. Okay, these planets, when in well dignified, well conditioned, and well placed, they tend to handle this Rahu and Ketu from a higher plane, which will give better results or great results. With respect to, now comes the houses. Now these planets will work from the houses. Okay, suppose you have Rahu, Mars, Saturn conjunction into the sign of Gemini in the 10th house, and if you are going through the Rahu Mahadasha and Mercury Antardasha, you will get the best results of this. Okay, depending upon all other factors as well, like the T9 and aspects, conjunctions, association of these exchanges, yogas, avasthas, and Nakshatras and Vimshottari Mahadasha as well. Okay, but yes, Rahu and Mercury is a great combination. Next, Venus Nazareth. Hi Para, thank you. Oh, Kajal Thakkar, my Rahu is in Gemini sign in my birth chart. Yes, yes, Kajalji. Do you have any specific question around that? Please share. Space Cat, hello. Puromita Sadhukan, Rahu, Mercury, Mars in Gemini. We talked about this. Hariharan Mohan, for Libra ascendant and Gemini Rashi. I didn't get the question. Astrology Geek, what is the effect of eclipse on natal moon? Kajal Thakkar, and my Rahu with conjunction with Venus and Moon as well in Libra. Okay, my Rahu with conjunction with Venus and Moon as well in Libra ascendant. Okay, but Kajalji, is your Rahu is into the sign of Gemini? Please confirm. Okay. Suchita Kapale, what about the 8th house? I have this placement and my nodal return is now Rahu, Gemini in 6th house. Please comment. Okay, what about the 8th house? Suchit Kapale, when you have Rahu into the 8th house of the horoscope, it is one of the difficult positions for an astrologer to really comment on it, because there is something which is hidden for this person. In case if it is your placement, there is something hidden to your personality which is difficult to tap into for any other astrologer. Only you can tell that. And I feel most of the times there is something which I cannot access to that person. Okay, so that's what 8th house Rahu is all about. And this Rahu also will make you a resourceful person. Venus Nazarat, I have this placement and my Rahu nodal return is coming. Great. When you have Rahu return coming in, it is one of the most one of the most significant years of your life, because now you will experience the transformation into the sign and houses it is placed in your case, it is placed into the 6th house. 6th house is the one of the Artha Trikona houses, which is the house of your job, your routine work, and it is one of the Upachaya houses which grows with time. So depending upon your age, depending upon your dashas and all other factors, and Mercury and Jupiter, it becomes even more important for you, this nodal return. Next, Suchit Kapal, Gemini Ascendant, Ravina. We talked about this. Okay. Kanan, first house. Suchit Kapale, I have answered your question. Okay. So next is Yuan Theresia. Hello, sir. Hope you are going good. Does two planet exchanging sign from D1 to D9 matter? Yes, of course it matters. Why not? Of course it matters, and depending upon the lordship and depending upon which lagna it is, you have to analyze it. Dheeraj Madleti, a moon with Ketu and Rahu in Gemini for Aries ascendant with Mars in Libra. Let me visualize this. You have moon with Ketu, moon with Ketu and Rahu in Gemini. Okay, so you have moon and Ketu into the sign of Gemini. Okay, for Aries ascendant. So you have third house Ketu in the sign of Gemini with moon. What next? And Mars into the seventh house of Libra. Okay, more than Mars, we are more concerned about Mercury and Jupiter today, because these are the two planets which are going to control what Rahu and Ketu will behave like. Okay. Next is Barsha Samrah. Hi, sir. Hello, Barsha. Pisces ascendant, my Rahu is in fourth house in Gemini. Okay. I recommend you to go and watch my Rahu into the fourth house video. The clear, if you want to really master the fourth house Rahu, just be true to your feelings, and you will master your Rahu. Okay. Dushyant Goswami, what about the result if Rahu sits with the one is present in Gemini in 11th house and Ketu in Sagittarius 5th house in my birth chart? Pallavi Gokhale, Rahu in 9th house in Mrigashira, Ketu in Mula in 3rd. Does indicate person will be spiritual? Rahu into the 9th house and okay. When you have, what is the name? Pallaviji, when you have Rahu into the 9th house, in fact, it is difficult for a person to believe something. It is difficult for a person to, understand the higher beliefs, things which are beyond our comprehension. But more than spiritual, it will make person intelligent. It will make person use their intellect for the survival. Okay. Yes. And next is Margaret Pillar, Rahu in the fourth house, Gemini, 10th house, Sagittarius, Ketu. It's my return year. No conjunctions, Pisces ascendant. Okay. If you have Pisces ascendant and you have Rahu into the fourth house, into the sign of Gemini, what it shows is fourth house Rahu is, Fourth house Rahu can make you believe in the wrong emotions. What do I mean by that? I have discussed this at length into the Rahu into the fourth house video. If you have not watched that video, go and watch that video. But what it does is it makes you believe in certain things emotionally, but those are not your true feelings. Okay, you are disturbed by behavior of your partner. Okay, so ideally you should feel angry about it, or you should talk about it, but you will stop eating. Okay, you will stop eating and you will stop talking to your partner, which is not your emotion. Your emotion is you are angry on your partner. And why you're angry? Because he is not giving you the time, attention, whatever your case is. You have to be true to yourself. Get angry on him. Speak up your mind. Be true to your emotion is the key for the fourth house Rahu. And I have seen that if this Rahu is into the fourth house, these people have an inner understanding about the relationships. Like they will know within a week that this is not going to work, yet they will continue on it because of this illusion of Rahu on their emotions. If they just decided to be true to themselves, they will avoid 90% of their chaos from their life due to the Rahu into the fourth house. Okay, I hope this has helped you. Aribandatta, Ketu in Sagittarius. Just a second, I missed those comments. I have to go back again. Okay. Okay, Aribandatta, Ketu in Sagittarius in third house. We just talked about this. Dheeraj Madelaleti. No, sir. Moon with Ketu in Sagittarius and Rahu and Gemini, Mercury, Capricorn, Jupiter in Taurus for Aries. I'm not able to visualize it right now, so won't be able to answer that. Rahu and Jupiter conjunct in Gemini in sixth house. Zayal. Okay. So when you have Rahu and Jupiter, you will hear a lot of things about Rahu and Jupiter as Chandal Yoga and all sorts of things. Why? Because Rahu is the planet. Rahu is a demon, and the planet Jupiter is the planet of your faith, is the planet of abundance, is the planet of wealth. So it is in a classic text, it is considered as Chandal Yoga if Jupiter is conjunct with Rahu and Jupiter is conjunct with Ketu. But I have found that the conjunction of Rahu and Jupiter also works great in certain rashis and in certain conditions depending upon the placement and the lots. But yes, you will hear a lot of things about this placement. So what is Rahu role in astrology? Suchit, we have made a separate video on Rahu. We have a comprehensive playlist on Rahu through houses. You can go and watch them. Okay, and that will help you to understand more about Rahu and Ketu and their role in astrology. Rahu is a forward-looking planet, and Rahu is the planet which will make you work. It is the planet which brings in the amplified energies with respect to the significations of that houses. Rahu brings in change. Rahu amplifies things. Rahu is a forward-looking planet. I have to use word planet, but I have also shared a mythological story of the origin of this planet, Rahu and Ketu, which were the demon called Swarabhanu. So if you want to know more about Rahu and Ketu, Suchit, go and watch my video on Rahu. Next is Basha Samra, whatever I have achieved till today, like the higher education to job, marriage, child, I got during Rahu Mahadasha. Yes, of course, Rahu Mahadasha can be one of the best Mahadasha you have, right? Maybe one day I will make a video on how to judge that Mahadasha. Okay, but you have to consider few points when we look into the Mahadasha, and especially the Mahadasha of the nodes. You have to go deeper into the lords, their condition, their association with other planets, other karakas, and so on. Okay, but yes, it's quite possible that you have achieved all those things with Rahu Mahadasha. In fact, there is nothing like Rahu is always bad. Rahu is amplified energy. Okay, again, those who are watching it, please hit the like button if you are getting value from this video. It will help me understand what kind of content to share with you guys. Please hit that like button if you are getting the value, and subscribe as well if you haven't already. Next question is Kanan, first Rahu in ascendant, Ketu in seventh house, Gemini ascendant. We have talked about a lot of we have talked about this for almost in all the videos about Rahu and Ketu access into the first and seventh house. Okay, Kananji, what happens is when you have what's the Rahu is in ascendant. Okay, when you have Rahu into the first house, Rahu is the planet which is all about the illusion. Okay, and it makes you unusual. If the degree of the Rahu is closely conjunct with the degree of ascendant, it also shows unusual nature with respect to your physical body, your head, or your height. Something unusual which is profound and visible in your physical body can be seen with Rahu in the first house. But more than that, it also makes you you know struggle with who you are. When you have nodes into the first house, it is difficult for you to understand who you are, and once you mess with who you are going to make your seventh house impact it as well. Okay, I don't know who I am, so what kind of partner I'm going to look for, I have no idea. Okay, and that is going to be the challenge for the Rahu and Ketu into the first house and the seventh house. Okay, and with the element of Gemini into it, it brings in more communication into this axis of 1 and 7. It also brings in the purpose, the Sagittarius thing. Okay, so here Ketu will be optimistic about the relationship. Suppose you have Ketu into the seventh house, into the sign of Sagittarius. What it shows is you will be optimistic about the relationships. You will be optimistic, and but at the same time, you might get overconfident about those things. You might feel like I can easily get into relationship. I'm the king. Okay, you will have that God element. You will start feeling like you are the God. You will have that over expansive nature of the Jupiter taking over the head as Ketu, and now it is affecting the seventh house of your relationship. Okay, that's how you have to blend all this. That's how it all works together. Okay, I hope this has helped you, Kananji. Next is Hariharan Mohan, Libra ascendant, Moon Rahu in Gemini. Okay, so it goes into the ninth house. We have discussed about Rahu into the ninth house. Kajal Thakkar, Libra ascendant, Venus, Moon, and okay, we have discussed that. Pallavi Gokhale, does Rahu give a person any ghostly experience? Yeah, it depends because it is an illusion. Okay, so it is always connected with all the abstract things, all the spiritual things, and yes, it can also give you some unusual experiences as well. I hope, Pallaviji, it has helped you in answering your question. Top model PT. How can I become certified Vedic astrologer? Where can I learn Vedic astrology? And one of the Sir, Moon in Ketu in Sagittarius, ninth house. Moon and Ketu in Sagittarius, and Rahu in Gemini. Dheeraj, we have discussed this. Okay. Suchit Kapale. Okay, gratitude. Yes, Suchit ji, thank you. Kajal, we have discussed this. Okay. Aribandatta, Rahu and Mars in first house for Cancer Lagna. We'll discuss that when we'll discuss about Rahu into the sign of Cancer. Maybe on Saturday we will create a stream for that. Okay. Next is A Kumbhar. No, I think I missed a lot of it. Okay, no, I'm right there. Okay, A Kumbhar. So what happens when Rahu in 11th house and Ketu, Sun, Mars, Venus in the 5th house for Leo ascendant? Rahu in the 11th house and Ketu. Okay. When you have Rahu into the 11th house, it is considered as one of the planet which is, Rahu is an amplifying energy, and 11th house is the ultimate house of the air element and Kama Trikona house. So it is the ultimate house of gains. And if you have Rahu in the ultimate house of gains, it can give you massive gains. Trust me on that. If you have well conditioned lords, and if you are going through the dasha antardasha of the Rahu period, it can give you huge gains in the time periods. Okay, if it is aspected by Jupiter or it is aspected by certain Karaka planets, it will improve the quality of this Jupiter. 11th house is also one of the Upachaya house. So Upachaya house is the house which grows with time. So your age also matters when you have Rahu into the 11th house. If you're just starting your life, if you're early into your life, you may not have the huge gains in your life. But if you have, into the Upachaya and continuous growth stage of your life, it will help you to have massive gains in your life. Kumbharji, I hope it has helped you to understand this. Next is Praveen Kanagaraj. Rahu is with Jupiter, Mercury, Venus in the 4th house, Virgo, and Ketu in the 10th house. Ketu in the 8th. No, I'm not able to visualize this. Is it connected with the Gemini, Rahu, and Sagittarius Ketu? Please share, Praveenji. Ariban Datta, Ketu in 3rd house or Libra Lagna or Ketu in Mahadasha coming in 3 months. We cannot judge Mahadasha right here in the live chat. It has whole lot to analyze before we talk about the Ketu Rahu Mahadashas or any Mahadashas for that matter. Next is Parveer Sethi. Hello sir, Rahu in Aries with Mars for Sagittarius Lagna. Rahu in Aries. We have already discussed about Rahu in Aries. Right. Next is Suchit Kapale. Sir, to get enlightenment, do our Kundali chart position matter? How much role it play? Now, it's a great question because see, if Guru comes into your life, if you have God's grace in your life, anything can be changed. Okay, but I believe that there has to be certain things in your chart which shows that kind of enlightenment. And for that, moksha trikona houses are most important: the 4th house, 8th house, and 12th house. And what are the important planets? The sun, moon, and Ketu. And the 4th lord, 8th lord, and 12th lord becomes important. Okay. Pallavi Gokhleji, can Rahu be Atmakaraka planet? It depends if you are following the 8th house scheme of Gemini astrology. Yes, Rahu can be Atmakaraka. If you're following 7 planets, Rahu is not considered for the Atmakaraka or Amatyakaraka. Okay. So TEMK, Rahu and Moon in Gemini, in Ascendant in Cancer. I think we have discussed this. Okay. A Kumar, what happens when Rahu Ketu lords conjunct? Now that's a great question. When the lord of the Rahu and Ketu are conjunct, okay, we have to look whether they are conjunct together in some other house, or they are conjunct with Rahu and Ketu. If they're conjunct into some other houses, the house where they are placed in becomes far more important from the Rahu Ketu perspective. So what you have to do is look for the placement of Rahu Ketu. Suppose you have Rahu into the 4th house and Ketu into the 10th house in Gemini and Sagittarius, and you have Mercury and Jupiter conjunct into the 1st house in Pisces ascendant. Okay, so now what's happening is the 10th lord is going into the 1st house, 4th lord is going into the 1st house, all the Kendra houses lord is coming into the 1st house, but the Jupiter is getting the strength by the dignity. The source of strength for the Jupiter is the sign placement, which is ruled by Jupiter, Pisces. So the Ketu part of that placement becomes important. Okay, but if you have lord of the Ketu conjunct with the Rahu, or the lord of the Rahu is conjunct with Ketu, now what you have to do is you have to look for the planets, and also you have to look for the ascendant. If you have that planet which is ruling the lord, which is ruling Rahu and Ketu, if it is a Yogakaraka planet for your chart and is conjunct, it creates altogether different scenario. Okay, but yes, conjunction of Rahu and Ketu lord is a very specific conjunction, and you have to give attention to that conjunction as well while judging Rahu and Ketu. Next is Sri Ram, Rahu in Gemini, Mrugashira Nakshatra, Rahu in Ketu in Mula, Saturn, Retro, Venus, Mercury in Taurus, 12th house. Career issues, no growth. We won't be able to judge career and all that or predicting anything in this live stream. Apologies, Sri Ramji. If you have any specific question around this, you can always put even right now. We will cover that. Prabir Sethi, Venus retrograde and exalted into the 4th house but combust. What is the result? We'll talk about this in some other video. We have made a separate video on combustion and the Venus retrograde. Go and watch them. And if you have any question, you can put that into the comment section of that video. I try to reply almost all the comments. Okay, just go and watch that. Sai Krupa, hi, I am Virgo ascendant, Rahu Ketu in Libra and Scorpio. 9 and 3 natal Rahu is Sai Krupa ji, do you have Rahu and Ketu into the sign of Gemini and into the sign of Sagittarius? Please share this. Next is Kritika Pandeji. Sir, please explain this. I have Rahu and Ketu. I have Rahu and Jupiter in 11th house, and Ketu Mars in 5th house. Okay, so what it shows is you have great abilities for the planning. You are a great executor of the planning. Planning is more of the 12th house, but when you have an methodical planet like Mars into the 5th house, it shows you are great at policy making or great at implementing the strategies. Praveen Kanagraj, Ji, I'm Cancer ascendant in the 4th house, Rahu plus Jupiter plus Venus plus Mercury, and Ketu is in 10th house. For Cancer, it goes into the Libra. So we are not talking about Libra here. We'll definitely cover this when we'll talk about Libra, Rahu, and Ketu into the Aries sign. Okay. Sai Gruba, Rahu in 9th, Ketu in. Okay. Hemant Pudami, what happens Sun Ketu conjunct in what Ketu during the Sun power? In fact, this do you have this into the sign of Gemini and Sagittarius? Okay, but let's talk about Sun and Ketu. What is the planet Sun? Sun is the planet which is all about the self, is the planet of soul. Okay, and what is Ketu? Ketu is the planet. I have to use the word planet. We all know the mythological stories, and it's not planet and graha, but I have to use that for the ease of language. Okay, so Ketu is a planet. So when Ketu conjunct Sun, it gives you the greater abilities with respect to soul. It will give you greater abilities with respect to the spirituality. I have seen many saints have have Sun and Ketu conjunction in their chart, because now Ketu is also about the self, right? We always talk about Rahu and Ketu as ascendant and descendant. Ketu is that ascendant, the first house where we feel comfortable about, and Rahu is a descendant of the 7th house, which is all about the foreign things which we are not comfortable about, which are the scary areas we don't want to go to, but we have to go to. And Ketu is going to push us to those areas. Okay, so when Sun and Ketu conjunct, it gives you immense spiritual potential. I hope this has helped you. Dylan Purewal, Rahu in Punarvasu in 10th house and Ketu in Purvashada in 4th. Okay. Next is, we'll talk about Nakshatras in this video once we complete the questions. Okay. And guys, if you are watching this, don't forget to hit like button. It helps me to understand what kind of content I should bring it for you. So Hemant Pudami is what happens Sun Ketu conjunct. Okay, we have discussed that. Okay, Merv, in my main chart, my Rahu and Moon are in conjunction in Gemini in 8th house. What does it mean? My ascendant is Scorpio. You have Scorpio ascendant and Rahu and Moon is also conjunct, right? Yes, when you have Rahu and Moon conjunct, we have talked about Rahu into the 8th house. When you have Rahu into the 8th house of the horoscope, there's more obsession about the occult and mysticism, and you have the capacity to create your own path in life, because 8th house is the house of your spiritual things, is about the not spiritual, but it is more about the moksha house, the mystical occult, the house buried under the ground, And now you have the amplifying Rahu and nourishing moon coming in here. So you have the capacity to really create your own philosophy about the occult and mysticism for yourself, of course. And you have a resourceful person who have a lot of hidden side to your personality. Jenny, hey sir, Cancer, the Rahu in third house in Hastara and Ketu in ninth house in Purva Bhadrapada in Buddha Mahadasha. Jenny, we are not able to we are not able to discuss this here because we are talking about Rahu into the sign of Gemini and Ketu into the sign of Scorpio, not Scorpio, Sagittarius. Kajal Thakkar, still now my query is pending. Libra ascendant, Gemini sign, Moon, Rahu in the ninth house. We have discussed about Rahu into the ninth house. Okay, you can watch that. We already discussed about ninth house. When you have Rahu into the ninth house, conjunct with all other planets, it simply means that you have a lot of karma pending with that house. What is the ninth house? Ninth house is the house of higher studies, about the higher beliefs, about the religion, spirituality, about the long distance travel, and it is also about your parents. So you might be obsessed about your parents, and there is possibility that you may not even believe in astrology. Kajal, is that your life experience? Please share that. Soumya Koli Chakrabarti, Rahu in the fifth house and Ketu, Mercury, Jupiter, and Sun in 11th house. What is the result? We are not talking about houses here. Do you have this placement in the sign of Sagittarius and Gemini? Then we can talk about that. By the way, the conjunction of Sun and Ketu we have already discussed about, and Ketu and Mercury also we have discussed. Kritika Pandey, thank you, sir. Yes, Kritika ji, I appreciate. Hemant Pradami, happening right now what you said, sir. Thank you very much. Yes, I appreciate that. Whatever I explained you resonated with your personal life experience. I'm super grateful for you as well. Styled simply, Rahu Jupiter in the second house, Gemini. Okay, when you have Rahu and Jupiter into the second house, it shows you have a conscious need for yourself. You have to be conscious about your tangible needs. Second house is the house of needs, and when you have a Gemini Rahu into these areas, it is going to help you to earn for yourself, satisfying your own needs. And when Jupiter goes in here, Jupiter is the planet of abundance. The planet of abundance is conjunct with the planet of amplifying energy into the sign of finances, so it can give you a lot of financial gains as well. Styled simply, I hope this has helped you. Prabir Sethi, ascendant in Purvashada, Venus Nakshatra. We are not discussing it right now. Okay. Okay. Vadi Velan, Moon is in 8th house and Sun is debilitated in Lagna Varga, Jupiter, Rahu in Varga. Vadi Velan, we are not discussing about Rahu into the sign of Virgo today. We are discussing about Rahu into the sign of Gemini. Pallavi Gokhleji again. Saturn in Libra ascendant and Rahu in Gemini. Does this mean Rahu's aspect is afflicting Sun? I don't know, because I'm not able to visualize. Suchit Kapale, D9 chart. We are not discussing about D9 chart. Whatever, Rahu in Virgo. We are not discussing Rahu in Virgo. Harsh Sharma, Rahu in Gemini in 11th house. We have discussed about that. MSA, my Rahu, Gemini Ketu Sagittarius, and Mercury Virgo are Vargottama in D1. Sun sits with Mercury but leaves in D9. What does it mean? Thanks for life. It can mean many more things. A lot of things are happening in here. You have three planets Vargottama. When a planet goes Vargottama, it works on its higher level. You also have to look for the house of the Vargottama planet as well as the element of Vargottama planet. Whether it is have Vargottama, it has become Vargottama in air element, or it has become Vargottama in water element, or into the fire element. All these things change the dynamic of the interpretation for these Vargottama planets. Thailand Purable, Rahu in the 10th house in Gemini, Ketu into the fourth lord in 9th house, 10th lord into the 6th house. I'm not able to visualize the lords quickly, but I think we have, Rahu into the 10th house in Gemini. Okay, we have not discussed that. So when you have Rahu into the 10th house in the sign of Gemini, what it shows is 10th. Rahu loves to be into the 10th house, into the 11th house. Why? Because Rahu loves to create their own empire. Rahu loves to work. Rahu loves to show up. Rahu loves that attention. Rahu loves that glamour. Rahu loves that public attention, public love, and all the authority. Okay, and that's why Rahu does great job into the sign of Sagittarius, excuse me, into the sign of um, Gemini, into the 10th house. In the sign of Gemini, when Rahu is into the sign of Gemini, they have the emotional vulnerability with them, associated with them, because these people are quite insecure about the third house things, because now third house and the Gemini realms become scary for these people. They won't be able to, go and explore the third house things or the Gemini things. Why? Because they are comfortable with the ninth house things. They have certain life purpose with the Ketu in the Sagittarius, and they feel that their life purpose is the best life purpose. Okay, and if you go and try to connect with the Rahu into the Gemini and Ketu into the Sagittarius person, your own agenda, your own life purpose will, they will feel it like a threat to their life purpose. But in a way, you can help them, and that is the challenge for them. They have to understand that this Rahu, which is all about the Gemini thing, which is networking, connecting with people, is going to help and improve the Sagittarius side of the person. Okay, so when you have Rahu into the 10th house in Gemini, you have to connect with the peers, you have to connect with the people. Okay, then you can create a world for yourself. I forgot whose question was this, but I hope you have got the answer. And if you have got the value, don't forget to hit like. Why I'm saying all the time hit like button? Because it helps me to understand what content you guys like and what kind of content I can bring in for you, like this live stream, which will help you to go further faster into Vedic astrology and learn Vedic astrology step by step. Okay. Next is Lloyd Rahu in the 12th house, Taurus. We are not talking about Taurus today. Pallavi Gokhleji in Gemini, Rahu plus Jupiter in 9th house. Is it good for intellect? Yes. J. Kundi. Rahu in Gemini 8th house. We talked about it. Divya as Sagittarius ascendant, Rahu in the 4th, Ketu in the 10th. Harsh Sharma, can you talk about Ketu Mahadasha if it is in Sagittarius? Okay. When you are judging any kind of Ketu Mahadasha, what you have to do is you have to first look for, when you have Ketu into the sign of Sagittarius, it will be placed into certain houses. Houses will show you the areas, like you have Ketu Sagittarius maybe into the 9th house, maybe into the 7th house, maybe into any other house. So the area will depend upon house. Sagittarius Ketu will give you an optimistic approach towards that house. You have it into the 3rd house, it will make you intelligent. If you have it into the 9th house, it will make you, religious. It will make you follow the dharma. Okay, but when we are judging the horoscope of Ketu, the not horoscope, the dasha of the Ketu, the most important thing is the first few years. I forgot the exact time of the Ketu. See, if you know the Vimshottari Mahadasha works on the basis of the nakshatra, and each Mahadasha has equal, not equal, they have antradashas. Like Ketu Mahadasha will be for the 7 years, but for these 7 years, each planet will get his turn to rule, and the first turn will be Ketu. So the Ketu Mahadasha, the first turn will be Ketu. Okay, so for you, for Ketu, you will have a certain, certain outcomes for Ketu. And depending upon all other conditions which we discuss, these things get altered. If this Ketu is conjunct with a Yoga Karaka planet, or if it is into Kendra with any Yoga Karaka planet, or is in exchange, conjunct, and so many things, is if it is associated with that planet, that Mahadasha is capable of giving the results of that planet as well, good or bad. So you have to analyze the Ketu Mahadasha or even any Mahadasha with this approach. I lost the question. Let me go to this. It was Harsh Sharma's question. Harsh, I hope you have got answer to your question. Ritupai Rahu aspects of the houses. Hemnath Pudami. I hope I'm close to pronounce that. Which houses are aspected by Rahu and Ketu? These planets are in retrograde motion. Naturally, should be checked in reverse order. I heard that these planets aspect 5th in the retrograde motion. Okay, Rahu and Ketu are retrograde motion. Why? Okay, so what I believe is, look at that astronomy of the Rahu and Ketu, which I have already discussed in previous videos. They are the intersection point of Earth's orbit to the Sun. So Rahu and Ketu are the intersection point between Earth's orbit to the Sun and Moon's orbit intersecting Earth's orbit of Sun. Okay, so they are always in retrograde motion. Okay, and I don't believe that you should look at the previous house or the previous aspect for the retrograde planet, because see, if you look at the previous houses as well, it will aspect more than 8 houses. Okay, so it won't make any sense to me, at least it is my opinion. Okay, and in Parashara horoscope, in Parashara, I have not seen any kind of uh, rule where they have given like retrograde planet will be reversed. Maybe in some other form of astrology, it may be a common practice, but I'm not aware of it. Okay, so Ritu Pai Rahu aspects styled simply. Rahu, Jupiter, second house. How's this aspect? We have discussed about this. A Kumbar, you bring great content, sir. Thanks. A Kumbar, thank you, Kumbarji. I appreciate and I'm grateful for your love and support. It means a lot to me. Harshama, fifth house. I didn't get what do you mean by fifth house. Next is Merv. What does Darakaraka in Rahu in 8th Gemini means? Thanks for sharing your knowledge. I didn't get your question. What do you mean when you say Darakaraka in Rahu? Okay, because in the scheme of Karakas, I follow the 7th house Karakas. Okay, so I don't know if you have Darakaraka as Rahu. Next is Suhag Roy. Please tell me with this sign combination of Rahu in the 5th and Ketu in the 11th and Venus sitting in the 11th with Ketu. Suhag Roy. Okay. So Sohagji, when you have Rahu into the 5th house, we have already made a separate video on that. But the best thing to fix the Rahu into the 5th house is Rahu in the 5th house makes your Ketu into the 11th house. When you have Ketu into the 11th house, it makes your person who have great contacts. Like you can have the contacts with the most influential people in the world. But that becomes the problem when you have the Ketu into the 11th house in the sign of Sagittarius. What it shows is you have an overconfident, over expansive nature with respect to networking. Like you feel that you can connect with anybody and can bring in the gains for yourself is what you believe in. And this overconfidence can damage you. You have to be careful with not to involve with all the connections you have, because when you have Rahu into the 5th house of the horoscope, you will meet a lot of people who will distract you from your path. What is the 5th house? 5th house is the house of your dharma. First house is the house of dharma, 5th house is the house of dharma, 9th house is the house of dharma. So 1, 5, 9, the trinal houses are the dharma trikona houses. And when you have Rahu placed into the 5th house of the horoscope, what it shows is you now here you are confused about who you are. When you have Rahu into the 5th house, it makes you it makes you confused about yourself. You're not confident about yourself. And the biggest problem with this placement is the network. You always have that other connection ready for you. In fact, you can if you can use that wisely, it can help you to really connect and make huge gains. But how it works is one day you have a connection with your friend who is into astrology. So you started following astrology. You started doing so many things in astrology, great things. But one day you had your friend at your place and who is into singing. So you thought, okay, let's try that. And you got interested into that and you started doing that and you forgot about astrology and you're not doing it. And over the period of time, when you keep on changing things, you lose the consistency. You at the end of the life, you feel like you are not consistent at all. And that's where that Sagittarius Ketu comes into the placement, into the picture, right? So always either restrict your contacts or be consistent with who you are, and then use those contacts for your consistency or for your highest goal. For example, if you decide to become an astrologer, or even let's say you decided to become a singer, and you have started using your contacts for that purpose, like if you have any connection with a sound recordist, a person who is great at mixing, who is great at help you with house recording, doing the cover songs and so on. So it will help you, but be consistent, then only you can grow. It was a great question. Sohag Roy, I hope you have got the answer to your question. Vandana Rathod. My Rahu in Gemini, Ketu in Sagittarius, 5th house. Ketu with Mars and Leo ascendant. I think we have talked about this when you have Rahu and Ketu into the 11th house and 5th house axis. Yash 316. Does Rahu get debilitated in Sagittarius? I was asking because I have Rahu in Sagittarius in 11th house. We'll talk about this when we will talk about the Rahu in Sagittarius. But we'll definitely cover that question. It's a great question, but it will be a distraction for those who have come for Rahu into the sign of Sagittarius. Rahu in Gemini and Ketu in Sagittarius. Okay. Okay. Before we jump to the question, let's talk about the nakshatras. In the sign of Gemini, we have 3 nakshatras. We have the nakshatra of Mrigashira, we have nakshatra of the Ardra, and we have nakshatra of Punarvasu. We have 2 padas of Mrigashira into the sign of Gemini. We have 4 padas of Ardra nakshatra into the Gemini, and we have 3 padas of Punarvasu into the sign of Gemini. When you have Rahu into the sign of Gemini, in Mrigashira nakshatra is ruled by Mars, and Mrigashira nakshatra is quite passive nakshatra. It will collect all the information, but it is not there to take action. And when you have the energy of Rahu coming into the sign of Gemini and into the nakshatra of Mrigashira, it might make a person passive and collect that information. Okay, next is Ardra nakshatra. Ardra nakshatra, the deity for the Ardra nakshatra is the Rudra, and deity is the destruction. When Rahu is into the sign of Ardra, you have to be it is the destruction, but you have to destroy things to create new. Okay, you have to destroy the earlier older orders to create the new things in life. Okay, and if right now whatever is going around, Rahu is into the sign of Gemini, into the nakshatra of Ardra, which is all about destruction. Now we are restarting, we are reorganizing. I have shared this into my 2020 prediction video, wherein we have discussed about how the movement of Saturn into the sign of Sagittarius, into the sign of Capricorn, is going to bring in the new order, is going to bring in the fundamental changes from January. Okay, yes, we are talking about the nakshatras here. The next nakshatra is Punarvasu nakshatra. Punarvasu nakshatra is dasha ruled by Jupiter, and it has 3 padas into the sign of Gemini. When Rahu goes into the Punarvasu nakshatra, it is more about the now it is not as destructive as it was into the Ardra nakshatra. Okay, next, when we have Rahu into the sign of Gemini, we have Ketu into the sign of Sagittarius, and sign of Sagittarius has 3 nakshatras. Okay, Sagittarius sign has 3 nakshatras: Mula nakshatra, 4 pada, then Purvashada and Uttarashada. Okay, so you have to look for all these planets as well, all these conjunctions as well. So when you have Rahu Ketu in Ardra and Mula, it is the placement to look out for. Always look out for that placement. Next is Hemant Pudami. Thank you for your enlightening us with your spiritual knowledge, sir. Keep making live sessions in future also like this. Thank you, Hemantji. Na bol ke TikTok roast. Is Venus Mercury in 4th house in Gemini Lagna aspected by Jupiter good from 12th house? A good placement. Is Venus Mercury in the 4th house in Gemini Lagna aspected by Jupiter? Okay, do you have any question around Rahu and Ketu? We'll most definitely discuss that. And those who are watching, please hit that like button if you're getting value out of this video. Next is Kajal Thakur. Kajal, uh, thanks, sir. I'm believe in astrology, but I'm not believe to orthodox in spirituality. Great. Thanks for sharing your life experience, because when you have the Ketu in that axis, it is always about the question of your faith. Okay, those who don't believe in certain things, suppose you don't believe in astrology, but there are people who don't even believe in God. Okay, and that's fine. God is okay with it, because it is his karma. It is the placement of that planet in that uh, house or in that sign is making him behave like that. So it's perfectly fine. Next is Rutupal Ketu aspects of housing. We are not going to discuss that today. Sohag Roy, please tell me with Sohagji, I have given you a detailed answer. I hope you have got that answer. Saurabh, Saurabh Pathak, Tula Lagan, Rahu in 9th in Gemini, Ketu in Sagittarius. How Rahu does affects Tula Lagna, Rahu in 9th in Gemini, and Ketu in Sagittarius. Okay, when Ketu is in Sagittarius and Rahu is into the 9th house, 9th house is the house of your faith, spirituality, religion, and it is also the house of foreign travels. Why I'm putting the emphasis on Rahu, the foreign travels is Rahu is a foreign element. Rahu loves foreign travels, foreign things, foreign culture, foreign language. And when you have 9th house Rahu, you will also study other religions. Okay, initially you may not believe it because of your intelligence, but once you get into that, into the 9th house things, it will make you believe, and not only believe, comparative studies of the spiritual and religious, uh, you know, religious streams you will study, and you will come up with unique observations as well, because that's what Rahu is. It's unusual. Anna Marie, I agree. Arcade Babura, your analysis is great, sir. It's more deep. Thank you, Arcade. I appreciate, and I'm super grateful for your kind words. Ramesh R. G, please clarify whether Rahu and Ketu have exaltation or debilitation, or it depends upon the ruler of the house in which they occupy in birth chart. Okay, now this is the quite controversial and subjective concept. Few people believe that there are the exaltation and debilitation point of Rahu and Ketu. And some believe that there is no exaltation or debilitation of the planet. What I feel is, in certain rashis, Rahu does great job. Like in certain rashi, I'm not going to share which rashis, because if you don't have your Rahu in those rashis, it might make you feel bad about you. And I don't want to make you feel bad. Okay, because each rashi has downsides, each rashi has some positive sides to it. Okay, but yes, few scholars, few astrology Vedic scholars believe in astrology and believe in the debilitation and exaltation of Rahu and Ketu. Okay. Okay, BT, what if Ketu in Gandantha degrees, water to a fire in first and seventh? Arcade, Sir, Rahu in Cancer and Ketu in Capricorn in Gemini Ascendant. What we can say about this? Okay, Anna Marie, please answer general questions only instead of chart interpretations, please. It all depends upon the chart comments. You, whatever you will put in with respect to this, I will analyze that. Okay, Annie, I appreciate your feedback. Okay, those who are watching it, if you want more of a generic interpretation rather than your chart interpretation, please ask generic questions, so that everybody, even those who are watching it in replays, won't feel weird that I'm looking here and reading something, and they are not able to connect with that. Okay, but yes, at the same time, I also want to answer all your questions. Next question, Anna Marie, I truly appreciate your concern and feedback. Keep sharing your feedback here. Thank you. Tanya Thompson, can you talk about Rahu in the third house of Gemini? I think we have discussed about this. Rahu in the third house, Rahu is the planet of illusion, of Maya, of, and third house is the house of communication. So these people are great at communication. So if you have a Rahu guy who is into your sales team, he will probably close high tickets quite easily, because he will be able to communicate his message to the people, and people will believe him. It doesn't mean he is cheating them, but he has that magical words with him, which impress other people, which will make other people believe in the product he is selling, and those people will follow him and buy your product. Yes, 316, thank you. Okay, thank you, sir. Yes. Suchit Kapale, my nakshatra is Shatabisha, Gemini Ascendant. Great. Kritika Pandey, sir, can you talk about the Rahu and Jupiter in Ardhra Nakshatra in Gemini in 11th house? Already talked about Rahu and Jupiter. Kumari Nathan, will you be doing a live chat with the vice versa, Rahu in the second Sagittarius? Yes, most definitely. I'll be doing this is specifically for Rahu into the Rahu into the sign of Gemini and Ketu into the sign of Sagittarius. We'll be covering Rahu into the sign of Sagittarius and Ketu into the sign of Gemini, and what it would be like. Most definitely, we are going to cover that. Dial in pure well, sir. I have Rahu in Punarvasu and Ketu in Purvashara. Rahu in Punarvasu and Ketu in Purvashara. Great. Rahu, Rutu P. Does Saturn aspect on Rahu control the aggressiveness of Rahu? Now, Saturn is one of the most important planet for Rahu. You will hear that Rahu is like Saturn and Ketu is like Mars. In a way, it is true, because Rahu is the area of the life which is the scariest part of our life. We all have Rahu. We all have Rahu placed in certain houses of our horoscope, and those are the houses we are scared to dive deep into. You have Rahu into the first house, you're scared of yourself, like who you are. You're not able to figure out who you are. You're reading all the self-help books and all that thing, but still you're confused. That is Rahu in the first house. We have Rahu into the all houses, and that is the challenge. So when you have Rahu placed in certain houses, it makes you work towards that houses. And when you have Saturn connected with it, it makes that Rahu even more scarier. When I say scarier, doesn't mean bad or good. Okay? Scarier things, we have to follow those scarier things. Once you follow it, that fear for that house disappears, and your Ketu also improves, and you're free from that harmonizing, that balancing those axes. Okay, and that is the challenge for us in this Rahu in the sign of Gemini, Rahu in the Gemini and Ketu in the Sagittarius. We have to balance between the logic of the Gemini, which is Mercurian realm, and the spiritual realm of the Sagittarius. Like Sagittarius will believe in certain things, but Mercury will not believe in anything just for the sake of it. It will dig into it and will try to come up with certain logic behind it. Then only it will believe in it. Otherwise, it won't believe. So for Rahu in the Gemini and Ketu in the Sagittarius, it is the balance and harmonizing the logic of the Gemini, the communication of the Gemini with the expansive Jupiterian qualities of the Sagittarius, the higher beliefs and values, with the real-time intelligence of the Gemini. So yes, Rahu helps, excuse me, Saturn helps Rahu to go towards the Rahu house. Mr. MR, Rahu in Mrigashira and Ketu in Mula. We have discussed that. Then Rutu P, Ketu in Mula indicates spirituality. If there are no, don't put multiple comments, just put once. I'm going to read all the comments. If you put multiple comments, it is difficult for me to read those comments. Don't do that. Just put it once and I will cover it. Rutu P, I feel is Rahu in Ardra and aspected by Saturn when this pandemic came in, it started in destruction. Okay, all these transit things is a whole different thing. There is a different study of astrology, a branch of astrology called Sanhita. Okay, Sanhita talks about the nations. Sanhita talks about the countries, nation, and all those things. What will happen to India? What will happen to USA? What would be, all those things are covered in Sanhita, like a Bhrigu Sanhita or Bruhat Sanhita. All these things are covered in that type of astrology. What we do here is Jatak astrology, is personal astrology. What will happen in a person's life. I hope Rutu P, you have got your answer. But yes, when Rahu will move out of Ardra and will go to the sign of Taurus, healing will start at around September. Saili Maharatha, Sir, Namaskar. AK, Rahu in the fourth. AK, could you explain about it? We have already explained about it. AK, just go and watch the replay. Vikas Singh, Rahu in the 5th house, Ketu in the 11th. We have already discussed that. Sumit Singh, what about Ketu in Gemini and Rahu in Sagittarius? We'll talk about that in a separate video. Rutupi, yes, if Jupiter is strong than Rahu, then it can tone down Rahu to some extent. Okay, you are talking to somebody else in the chat itself, it seems. Next is Shrijit Unnikrishnan. Sir, Rahu in Cancer along with, we are not talking about Rahu in Cancer here. Shweta Gaur, Ketu in 2nd house, plus Venus, Gemini, and Rahu in the 8th house, Scorpio. I think we have discussed about this. AK. What if Rahu is in Gemini and Ketu is in Lagna? What if Rahu is in Gemini and Ketu in the... Okay, we have talked about it a lot. Ketu in the 1st house, Rahu in the 7th house. Okay, Rutupi, you can go and watch the replay. Most definitely, we have covered this this example. Sumit Singh, Sujit Kapale, sir, what represents 1st house as Gemini ascendant? Shrijit Unnikrishnan, sir, I'm currently undergoing Rahu Mahadasha and Ketu Antardasha. Okay. Arcade Babra, sir, Rahu in Cancer and Ketu in... So what is the effect of Rahu and Ketu transit return in Gemini and Sagittarius? What you have natal Rahu and Ketu in this side? Okay. So first is Unnikrishnan. What does the Venus aspect on Rahu means? Rahu in Gemini. Okay. Rahu represents what represents 1st house as Gemini ascendant. Currently undergoing. Okay, what is the effect of Rahu and Ketu? Okay. When you are judging the return of Rahu and Ketu, okay, if you're old enough, what you can do is go to your chart and look for the transit of Rahu and Ketu through or your Rahu and Ketu. Rahu and Ketu, if they have completed one cycle in your chart, they have been through all over your planets. Like they have gone over all of your planets. Okay, and that will, when they go over your chart, you will experience the transformation, because Rahu and Ketu bring in the change. And what kind of change depends upon your natal Rahu and Ketu. Suppose you have Rahu and Ketu into the 1st and 7th. When the Rahu goes over your sign of Gemini, you have Gemini Rahu into the 1st house in your D1 chart in natal, and now Rahu is traveling over your 1st house. Now it will, completely change your personality. You will transform your personality into somebody nobody would have ever imagined. Okay, because 1st house is the house of personality and physical body. It can also be the physical transformation as well, but something, it will bring in some kind of change is most definite. Atiya Vallani. Hello, sir. Yes, namaste. Welcome. Do you have any question? Please share. Rutu P. Rahu in Gemini, 7 and Ketu in Lagna. What should we expect? When you have Rahu into the sign of Gemini, into the 1st house, it is, it is more about the rules. See, Gemini and Mercury is more about following the rules. And when you have a structured life, Jupiter feels uncomfortable there. So when you have Jupiter into, when you have Rahu into the sign of uh, when you have Rahu into the sign of Gemini in the first house, you feel stuck with the rules with respect to the first house things, and that will impact the ninth house things of Ketu, which is in Jupiter. And Jupiter is all about higher belief, and Jupiter talks about what is good, and the Mercury talks about what is right. Srijit Unnikrishnan. Okay, sir. Thank you. Sohag Roy. What does Venus aspect on Rahu means when Rahu is in Gemini? It means you have to, it means you have some social quotient. You have a great social awareness, is what I can interpret from that. Kush Tyagi, Rahu in the 10th house, Ketu in the 4th house, Gemini and Sagittarius respectively. Is it a good placement? Kush Tyagi, yes, when you have Rahu into the 10th house, it shows you have a capacity to create your own empire. Kumari Nathan, I just logged into this chat by chance. Rahu into second Sagittarius with Ketu always get differing predictions, some very worrying. Kindly give the date and time when you will do this placement. Okay. Kumari, please subscribe to this channel and follow my community tab. I share all the schedules of my live streams on a community tab. And those who are still with me and watching this, don't forget to hit the like button. Okay, please hit the like button. Arcade Barbara, for where I can start to learn about astrology, I mean, which books I must read. Okay, Arcade Barbara, most definitely you should start reading the K.N. Rao books and B.V. Raman books. They are the most authentic books, and everybody starts with their books. I started with those books, and those are the one of the best books. You can get them on Amazon. Bhaskar Jyoti Tamili. My girlfriend has her Ketu and Rahu in Sagittarius and Gemini in first and seventh house. Okay. I do this cheese omelette. Please, please, and make a video. Please make a video on Rahu in Virgo. Yes, most definitely. We are going to cover all the combinations of Rahu and Ketu. Just be with us. Not in this live stream. We'll be making a separate live stream for all these combinations. Next, Ritupi, thank you. You are great. Following you since many months. Thank you, Ritupi. I'm super grateful for your love and support. Be there. We have just started. The next is Saili Maharatha. Sir, had you already discussed Rahu in Leo and Aquarius in Ketu? If not, then when are you going to? Yes, Saili, please subscribe to this channel. I'm sorry, I have to repeat it, but you just follow my community tab. Okay, I'll be sharing the updates of my live stream in the community tab. Sohag Roy, what happens when Rahu is in Punarvasu Nakshatra and Ketu in Purvashada Nakshatra? I'm not able to, exactly pinpoint it right at this moment quickly. Apologies. Rohit Khatri, Rahu in Chitra and Ketu in Ashwini, Aquarius Ascendant. We are not discussing it right now. Kumari Nathan, thank you. I have subscribed. Yes, thank you, Kumari Nathan, and also follow the community tab. I always engage with all of you guys on the community tab. with polls and schedule and all sorts of things. Okay, Arcade Baburov, thank you. Okay, Kaushiki Chatterjee, if Rahu is in Sagittarius in ascendant and Ketu is in Gemini in the seventh, then what can we expect? Okay, we'll talk about that in the other video. We are talking about the Gemini, Rahu and Sagittarius Ketu right now. Sohag Roy, thanks for your comments, following you since the very beginning. Yes, thank you, Sohag Roy. I appreciate your love and support. Next, Rohit Kothari, Rahu in the 9th house, sir. We have already discussed that. What did I miss? Any question? Kaushiki Chatterjee, Rohit Kothari, Saili Mahartha, Ramesh R. Listened your comments from my remark in the chat. I requested you to ask the question exaltation, debilitation of Rahu. Yes, most definitely I will ask this question and ask their opinion. Ramesh, thank you. Most definitely I will ask them about the exaltation and debilitation of Rahu and Ketu. Video on Rahu and after this series, can you share your info on the Shamsha also? I feel the Shamsha is far from us. First, we have to, cover the D9 chart and, Varga chart. And I like to do comprehensive live streams like this, wherein I will be able to, answer almost all of your questions, at least address. And if I don't know the answer, I will tell you I don't know the answer. I am planning for the D9 series because in the poll, most of the friends have requested for the D9, but I'm confused about D9 or Nakshatra. Okay, very informative video. Thank you so much. Rahu, Mars, Venus, Kaushiki Chatterjee, very informative video, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kaushiki ji. Stay tuned to this channel. We have a lot of series coming in. Margaret Pillar, Rahu, Mars, Venus conjunct in Gemini in 11th house. Great. When you have Rahu, Mars into the 11th house, this is a sensitive position because Rahu is the planet of amplification and Mars is the planet of energy. The planet of energy conjunct the illusion. Now it becomes, you have to be responsible and sensible when it comes to this handling this energy. The best thing to fix this energy is to prepare yourself. Never take a shortcut in preparing yourself. Always prepare yourself better. And prepare for what? Prepare for all the lords it has connected with, for those houses and those significations. Suppose you have Rahu and Mars into the 10th house. They will do great because 10th house Mars is also it gets the strength, and Rahu also loves to be into the 10th house. But when they are conjunct into the 10th house, you have to prepare whatever it takes to work for your career. And your career can be anything. You can be politician, you can be an actor, you can be an athlete, you can be a social media influencer, you can be you can be an entrepreneur or anything. You have to prepare. Your preparations will determine your outcomes for these combination. Margaret Pillar, yes, namaste, yes. Thank you for your valuable information. Please have your dinner. I had my dinner already. Saili Mahartha, sir, I am an emotional fool because I have Cancer in moon as well as in ascendant. In fact, Sailiji, when you have moon into the sign of Cancer, I have just uploaded a video in the Cancer moon. Just go and watch that, because when moon is into the Cancer sign, into the first pada, it becomes Vargotama and it becomes strong. So don't just, it makes you emotional, it will give you emotional strength as well. Arushi Acharya, Ketu Mars Venus in Gemini first house, amazing placement. It will give you an unusual abilities, unusual physical abilities. You have amazing abilities with your, strength in your personality, because it's into the first house. Srijit Unnikrishnan, for youngsters like us, info on the Shamsha will be fruitful for career. Thank you anyway, Guruji, for your reply. I'm not Guruji, and when it comes to the career, see, career is one of the most difficult thing to predict in astrology in 2020. Okay, why? Because astrologer is going to go wrong in explaining your career, because there are so many different careers coming in which I'm not aware of. Okay, I know, let's say I know 1,000 career avenues available according to my knowledge. Okay, but there are so many different careers which are coming in which I'm not aware of. Then I might get wrong. Okay, so career is one of the most difficult thing and has to be handled with care. So what you have to do is you have to first do the basic analysis. We're not going to jump into what would be my life purpose, what would be my career. Let's do it. What's happening in the 10th house? What's happening with the 10th lord? What are the planets aspecting? What is the nakshatra of the 10th house lord? Where it is placed in? Where is the ascendant lord nakshatra? Where is, all sorts of things. If you will journal this, if you just write this down, you will have far better idea about yourself. Okay, but if you expect that you will book a reading and you will know the career, like, okay, I'll be so and so, sometimes it's obvious, but sometimes, most of the times, it is the blend. It is so difficult to predict that. Okay, but sure, we are going to dive deep into the shamsha as well. Okay, Amalya, Amalya Konde, I have Ketu in Sagittarius and Rahu in the Gemini in D10 chart. That has nothing to do with today's topic. We'll talk about that in some other video, but most definitely we'll talk about that. Rohit Khatri, please tell, sir, is it good to have moon in Cancer for acting career? For acting career, any planet can give you good results. It depends upon your 10th house and the yogas in your chart. For, see, if you want to achieve something big in life, you have to have the support of the planets, or you should have God's grace, or you should have Guru in your life. If you have Guru in your life, if you have God's grace in your life, all the planets will surrender to you. Okay, but if, for most of the people, for most of the common people who have not spiritually initiated, who don't have the God's grace, we all have God's grace, but that's specifically directed by Guru. We have to follow our dharma. We have to work hard and keep moving. Kritika Pandey, sir, what happens when you have Rahu in Gemini and Ketu in Sagittarius in Lagna D1, Ketu in Gemini, Rahu Sagittarius? Please explain this. Thank you, sir. Kritika ji, we have already discussed this at a number of times, and I think even in this video we have discussed this in for a couple of times. You can go and watch that. Arushi Acharya, thanks for your reply. I'm always stressed and always sick. Have major tumor surgery few months back. Venus is always unhappy with Mars and Ketu. Thanks for the reply and wise words. I Arushi ji, I pray for you for your highest good and greatest growth. Surrender yourself to God and you'll be fine, is what I believe in. Prabir Sethi, Rahu and Mars in Bharani Nakshatra in Aries result. I don't know, because we are not talking about Aries today. We are talking about the sign of Gemini. And what else? Okay. Ramki Murugan. In my natal chart, I have Mars in the 10th house. Taurus. I have chart Mars in the 10th house, Taurus, where transit Rahu Mars enters Taurus in September 20. Okay. Likewise, my moon is in Scorpio, where transits Ketu enters in September. What is going to be the impact? See, Ramki Murugan, this is not the topic of today's video, but again, when you are judging any kind of transit, you have to judge it with 5 elements. First, you have to look it from the moon, which is conjunct Ketu in your case. Then you have to look from the Lagna. Then you have to look from the sun if you want to go in deep. Then you have to look for the Ashtak Varga table. Okay. Then you can superimpose the current table into your chart and so on. There, I have made a separate video on 5 masterful ways to master your dashas and transit. Go and watch that. You will have far more ideas about all these planetary alignments and changes happening around. Kaushiki Chatterjee, sir, I have moon in Cancer in 10th, Pushya Nakshatra in 15th. I think we discussed this, right? Kritika Pandey, sir, I'm talking about D9 chart, Rahu in Sagittarius. No, I don't know about that. Atiya Valani, informative video. If Rahu and Mercury conjunct in 8th house of Scorpio, native undergoing Rahu Mahadasha, should I anticipate unexpected events near soon? Natal Rahu was conjunct with Moon in the 4th house. Well, whatever you're sharing here, the involvement of Rahu and Ketu and the 8th house, all this signifies sudden events. Good or bad depends upon all the aspects of Rahu and Ketu. Okay. Tanya Thompson, did you discuss Saturn in Gemini in the 9th house? I think I have made a separate video about Saturn into the sign of Gemini recently, a couple of days back. You can go and watch that. Ranki Murga, okay, thank you so much. Rohit Khadri, thank you for your guidance, sir. Please upload video on acting career in future. Okay, most definitely I will do it. What else? Kartiki Pandey, I'm talking about D9 chart about Rahu in Sagittarius. See, Kritika ji, when we talk about the Rahu Ketu, we are talking about the D1 placement. D9 is nothing but the nakshatra placement of the D9 planets. What? Yes, you won't believe, but the nakshatra on D9 is the other part of the nakshatra, you can say. Rosadian Rada, what's more important, natal chart or D1? Now that I'm 55 years old, do you have Ketu in the Sagittarius and Rahu in Gemini, my birth chart, when D9 has moved houses? Okay, well, you see, D1 chart will always be important for you, no matter what. Even if your Varga charts are becoming, important into the latter part of your life and so on, but the original code lies into your D1 chart. So always remember D1 is the important chart. Kush Tyagi, Rahu in the sign of Ardra in the 10th house. Subhash Biswas, Ketu and Venus is considered to not very good in is in the 5th house. Okay. Kaushiki, please make a video about various kinds of career through planets, position, and combination. Rosa Diana Reda, thank you. Ketu Subhash Biswas, Ketu plus Venus combination in the 5th house Sagittarius for Leo Lagna. How will be the expected results? Thanks. When you have Ketu into the 1st house and Rahu into the 11th house, 11th house is the house of gains. So you can expect huge gains during this period of Rahu, especially Rahu. And when you have Ketu connected with Venus, it goes into the mutual aspect of Rahu and it increases that amplified financial gains. Vedic star power. As a student of astrology, do we address timing of dashas and eclipses timing from birthplace, and if we are living in a foreign land, timing of dashas and eclipses timing from the birthplace? See, eclipses can be, either can be seen from different places and are happening in certain places, in certain area, are visible from certain areas. That's what you're saying. But dashas are calculated from your place of birth through the nakshatra. Rohit Khatri, thanks, sir. God bless you, sir. Thank you. Vedic star power, student of astrology. Yes, we all are student of astrology. Nice to see you here. What else? Kaushiki, Subhash Biswas, Kushtagi. Vishnu Dayal, hi. Can you talk a little on Mercury, Venus, and Mars in Mula Nakshatra with Ketu in Sagittarius, 6th house? Thanks, God bless. Too much things are happening. Let's talk about this. Mercury, Venus, and Mars in Mula Nakshatra with Ketu in Sagittarius in 6th house. You have 6th house Sagittarius, so you have Cancer ascendant, and for you have Venus and Mars in the 6th house. Venus, Mars, when conjunct, this gives a passionate relationship, but it can also bring in that, effect of martial energies over the Venus. All these is happening in the 6th house. And when you have Ketu placed into the 6th house, it shows you have a great sense of work ethics. You have the highest level of work ethics. And other people may not be having those strict work ethics. Okay, so you have to be careful with, working. You have to be careful with people who are working under you. You have to be a little bit considerate about them. They may not have that high level of ethics. Vishnu Dayal, did that answer your question? Please put that into the comment section. Okay, guys, do you have any final questions before we can close this? Please let me know. And those who are still on this, please hit the like button. Don't go without hitting the like button. It helps me. NJ, Sir, Moon and Rahu in Mula, Ketu in Adra. Does it account to Pitradosha? I don't know. Vedic Star Pros, thank you. To be detailed about my question, example, if we are talking about Hora, do we see Hora from the place of birth or we are leaving? Of course, place of birth, most definitely. If I'm understanding your question right, I feel it's from your place of birth. Samyogita Mugurunde, transits can be seen from moon or lagna. Yes, it can be seen from moon or lagna, but see, we see Sadesati from moon, right? So I feel that we should follow that and we should see the transit from moon. But you can also confirm it with lagna. Vishnu Dayal, perfect. Thank you. Sanyogita, you don't take questions. Which questions I didn't take? I'm talking for almost 2 hours and answering all the questions. Which question I missed? Tanya Thompson, thank you. I appreciate your service and I hit the like button. Hey, Tanya, thank you. Thanks a lot. And yes, sir, please explain about Moon and Rahu conjunction in Mula. We have discussed about that in this video. Just go and replay it. You will have that. Sanyogita ji, did you get the answer? Which question you are saying, which I missed the question? The Candice 5. What is the result of Jupiter and Ketu conjunction in the 11th house in the sign of Gemini? Okay, so it shows that you have financial gains when you have the planet of expansion into the house of gains. It further expands your gains. Okay. Sanyogita Murali, yes, I got the answer. Which was Ketu, Venus in the fifth. Subhashi, we have talked about it. You can go and watch it again for the 5th house. Candice, did you get the answer? Candice 05 for the Jupiter and Ketu question. Okay, Aritra Roy, great analysis as always. I feel that you are a real experienced specialist when it comes to Rahu Ketu placement. Thank you. Thanks a lot. It means a lot to me. Thanks a lot for your kind words. We are going to dive deep into Rahu and Ketu. Then we'll move to the, Varga charts. Then we'll go to the Nakshatras. But then we'll talk about conjunctions. And then we'll talk about Nakshatras. And, there are a lot of things to cover. So if Ketu is debilitated in 11th house, then we'll have a financial setback? No. Dheeraj Sharma, welcome Dheeraj ji. You came late. Hello. Dheeraj ji, do you have any question? Okay. Anybody have any question? Please put that into the comment section. Otherwise, I'm going to close this session. Okay, we have questions. Vedic star powers. You are brilliant with Rahu Ketu. You can also discuss those in Namamcha. Most definitely we'll discuss that. Dheeraj Sharma, yes. Hemant Pudani. If Ketu is in Jupiter star in Gemini 6th house, will it improve Jupiter's devoted ethics? Most definitely, Ketu and Jupiter are both spiritual planets. NJ, thank you for answering my query. Of course, that's why I like to do it, in a detailed live stream where I can read all the queries and questions. Anthony Albert, greetings from Richmond. Thank you. Welcome. NJ, sir, can you explain about wealth-giving nakshatras? Most definitely, when we'll talk about nakshatras. Dheeraj Sharma, sir, Sun, Rahu, and Mercury in 11th house for Leo ascendant. Will it be Grahan Dosh? I don't know about Grahan Dosh. I look at the planets through the lordship and through the yogas. Okay, we analyze it through yogas, and then we will talk about the conjunctions. So I don't know about that Grahan Yoga or Pitru Dosha. Ganesh Nayak, Rahu in the 7th house in the Scorpio in Shani Nakshatra. I think we have discussed about Shani Nakshatra, not Shani Nakshatra, but the Rahu in the 7th house. Lakshmi Madhavan, I have a question in detail, please. Okay. Does Rahu in Gemini along with Jupiter brings a guru that is not good for me. I have a question. Does Rahu in Gemini along with Jupiter? No, it doesn't mean like that. Okay. In fact, I would say that Jupiter is, helping Rahu to be in control. And this conjunction will give you great results. Okay. Lakshmiji, I hope you have got the answer. Candice05, thank you. I'm watching you from Japan. Thank you, Candice. I appreciate your love and support. Vedic star powers. Why is Ketu not present in Yogini Dasha? Okay, that is a different. I will explain you when we'll talk about Dashas at length. Or you can ping me on Instagram. We can always discuss that. Saili Maharatha. Sir, if I have question as Amatya Karaka, I have Saturn in the 10th house in my chart. Okay, Ganesh, thank. How does Rahu produce Sarpadosha? Dheeraj, how will Rahu perform in 11th house for Leo ascendant? Anthony Albert, Rahu, Sun, Mercury, conjunct Jupiter in 12th house, Rohini, squares mates opposite. Anthony, is it into the sign of Gemini? Please confirm. NJ, sir, sir, how does Mars works in Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra? Okay, we have Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra. I think we'll cover that the planets through Nakshatra. By the way, when I'm covering the planets through signs, I'm also including the Nakshatras as well. So if you are interested into the planets through Nakshatra, go and watch that planets through signs as well. And I am giving you the timestamp of that so that you can directly go and watch them. Rahu, Sun, Mercury conjunct Jupiter in the 12th house. Rahu, Sun, Mercury conjunct Jupiter in 12th house, Rohini, squared Mars opposite Saturn. When you have Rahu, Sun, Mercury conjunct, it gives you unusual mental abilities. And when it is into the 12th house, it shows you have an inclination and obsession about the abstract things. You will always involved into abstract subjects. I hope, Anthony, this has helped you. In tropical Gemini, I tend to contrast two systems. Okay, I totally understand. But I would recommend you to follow any one system. Both the system are, both the system are accurate and both the system can work. Palash Ghosh, Saturn and Rahu in 8th house for Gemini ascendant. Saturn is also in the 8th house in the Manshavargattam. We are talking about Rahu in the sign of Gemini and not the Gemini ascendant, where Rahu goes into the Capricorn now. NJ, sir, how can one see the past life karmas in birth chart? To be frank, I cannot see that whether you were, what was your exact past life, but Ketu is involved with the past life. So there, the Rashi of the Ketu, the Nakshatra of the Ketu can give you the hint about your past life experience. Like you have Ketu into the sign of Sagittarius. In the past life, you have had all the Jupiterian qualities into your life. So you have that sorted now. And now you have Ketu into the sign of Jupiter. Likewise, you can interpret it. Dheeraj Ji, Rahu in Gemini in Ardra Pada 4th house for Leo ascendant. How will Rahu perform here? Rahu in Gemini in Ardra Pada 4 in the, when it goes into the 4th Pada of Ardra, it goes into the Pisces Mahadasha. Okay, so check for Jupiter. Lakshmi Mahadevan, Mars, Rahu and Venus, 8th house for Gemini ascendant. Effects in research. Okay. How is Rahu in Scorpio? We'll talk about that in special videos. Okay, so yes, this is it. I'm going to stop right now. One last question. Do you have any experience of knowing of palm leaf reading? No, I don't. Okay. I use numerology. I love numerology, but I have no knowledge about the palm. Okay. So yes, this was Rahu into the sign of Gemini, Ketu into the sign of Sagittarius, as much as I could hold, grasp, and share with you guys. Thank you for being with me through this stream. I'll be creating a stream for Cancer and Capricorn in coming few days. Stay with me, and we'll talk about it at length for that as well. And if you have any question, you can always ask me. I will read all the questions and reply to it if possible. you know Try to focus on the Rahu in the Cancer and Ketu into the sign of Capricorn. Okay. Yes, Anthony. Yes, most definitely. Thank you. I'm grateful. And so yes, I'm just closing this. Hit the like button before you go. Okay, if you have got any value from this, please hit that like button. It will give me an indication that you liked this stream, and I will bring in more and more kind of this subject. Okay, like Rahu and Ketu or live streams in general. Okay, please hit that like button and share this stream with your friends and family. Okay, and those who are watching it in replay, I appreciate you as well, and see you in the next stream. Love you all. Thank you. Bye. Namaste.